You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Posture Screen, Imaging Services, Mahalo Wellness, 5-Star Management, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiro Moguls, Local Gold, Chiro Thin, McCaffrey's Clinical Mentoring, Free My Pain Now with Dr. Matt DeDuro, and Chiropractic Rocks. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 148 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your co-host, Luke Millette. Here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Austin Cohen, and if you want to learn more about vulnerability and business strategy, stay tuned. So this is episode, I believe, 148, and we have Dr. Austin Cohen, and you're coming in from Hotlanta?
Hotlanta, 80 degrees today. Coming up on 83 on Friday too.
And we're gonna just pivot a little bit from our normal format as per request of our guest tonight. And we're gonna do a bit more Q&A with each other, but I do wanna stay to our format as much as possible. So let's just open up and share your chiropractic story and let people know exactly why you got into chiropractic and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina. I originally used to want to be a dentist. That actually was like the career I wanted to get into. I always loved health. So kind of weird. When I was young, like 12, 13 years old, I would count calories. That is back in this like early 90s, right? I was counting calories. I used to drink gallons of milk because I used to think there was a ton of calcium in there, so it would build bone, and I was going to be ripped. And then, you know, obviously as time goes on, you start to learn the facts of things, the reality. But as I was in undergrad, though, I still pursued dentistry, and I was a pre-dental, pre-med major. When I got to my junior years, when I really started thinking about what I wanted to do and making some questionable decisions, but I wanted to stay the course because that's what I was committed to. At about 12, 13 years old, I used to want to be a dentist. So, I mean, that's 8 years down the road. Well, applied for dental school, and what I was doing, the mistake I was making was I was applying out of state. And, you know, they may have like 200 applications, like 5 get in. And so I ended up not getting in. Then I ended up basically stalking the director of admissions for MUSC, which is in South Carolina, which is my in-state. I was going to apply there. Ended up not getting in there as well. Almost to the day I found out I didn't get in, this is in April 2004, or in 2005, my mom said, why don't you go look at a chiropractor? Now, I didn't know the difference between a chiropractor, a contractor, like I didn't even know what that was. So I ended up going to this chiropractor, and it was everything you would dream a chiropractic office would be. It was like opened up the pearly gates, and there was, you know, typical traditional medical office, because what you think of is you think of that sliding glass window. Can I get your insurance card and your date of birth, please? And it's like, I have given you my insurance card and date of birth 100 times. I got to give it again. So that's what like my expectation was. And I walk in and it's like wide open. People are high-fiving. There's athletes there. Families were in there. He's talking about nutrition. He's talking about exercises. You see him adjusting people, getting on the table, feeling one way, getting off feeling a different way. It was awesome. The next day, I applied to Life University and started in the fall of 2005. And it's been the best thing ever. I graduated. So kind of timeline, everything. Like I said, we are going to stick to the agenda, which I love the agenda we have set up tonight too, by the way. So I appreciate you setting that up. And we talked about how typical, you know, Chiro hustle. But for those of you listening tonight, we're talking business hustle too, based on what's going on in today's environment. But when I graduated in 2009, okay, H1N1 was huge. So I was going through this when I opened my practice. H1N1 and the stock market was like 9,000. Unemployment was at unprecedented numbers. We're all hearing that word unprecedented 100 times nowadays, every day. I heard that as well. Same thing with my practice. I opened in October 2009. And currently today's world, if we fast forward to today, we've got 8 locations with our 9th one opening up in the Northeast coming up this fall or this summer. And man, we just have a all-star team. And I'll talk about some of the things as far as how we set that up and tee that up throughout our conversation tonight. But I'm very fortunate and I feel very blessed for what chiropractic has given to me. And when I saw you post that tonight, I really want to give back to chiropractors as well and help them out.
Well, I think that what you're going to offer to our audience is going to be a very unique perspective.
And I think it's really awesome to talk about business, because I think that a lot of times people are in this like mindset crisis right now. And they're like, well, what do I do? How do I stay open? What can I do to, as we always ask people, well, what sets you unique from the rest of the pack type question. Chiropractors are unique as a whole. So to answer a question that might be obvious to us, might not be so obvious to our listeners. So I know you have multiple offices, but what does make your mindset right now where we're at unique?
So the last 11 years of the work that we've put into it, I think I heard Chris Zano do a talk earlier this week or last week, and he talked about the difference between preparation and prepping. And he talked about how a lot of chiropractors right now are just prepping, like what do they need to do to survive? Where people like myself and some other chiropractors, some of those successful chiropractors out there, they've been preparing for this, man. Like this is a thing we knew was going to come. We all know that recessions happen every 5 to 10 years. Now, we didn't understand there was going to be a virus component with fear based into it as well, but we all knew that this was going to happen at some point in time. So we had to be ready for that. Now, a lot of people, unfortunately, weren't ready for it. And that's where the struggle is happening right now. There's no time. There's a lot of fear. And, you know, the things I always talk to my chiropractors about is we never make decisions based on ego and emotion. If anybody looks back at their life and looks at a decision they made based on fear of emotion, or they made it based on ego, I would bet that it was probably the incorrect decision and it was probably against their gut reaction. And I've been there, you know, like there's people I've brought on my team and hired before where in the back of my brain, I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I was so desperate and it ended up being a bad decision. And it was a decision made based on emotion, based on fear mode. And so we've really got to get out of that mindset. And it starts with preparing for times like now and some other strategies that we'll share tonight that we've done.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned was a guy's name that I know has a huge impact in chiropractic over the past 15 years, especially Chris Zano. Yeah. Who are some of your chiropractic heroes?
You know, I love the old school guys, just so you know. I mean, that to me is like Sigafus, you know, obviously the Palmer family, you know, Jimmy Gregg, Sid Williams, you know, Didi Umber. You know, some of these kind of guys, like the old school philosophical guys who are grounded in the philosophy. These guys, I would bet average chiropractor right now is down between 30 to 50% of their volume. I would bet if those guys were in practice, they'd probably be down about 5 to 10%, if not hitting record weeks. And it is just so amazing to see how convicted and how passionate they were in what they did. And man, like we look at our patients right now that are still coming into our office. Right now, Atlanta and Georgia, we're in a shelter in place, right? So essential businesses are open. A lot of our patients think we're closed. Now we're running at about 60% or so volume right now from where we typically were. I mean, we had a record 2 weeks ago. Literally the week of March 14th, we had a record week. And then, you know, now we're, you know, obviously 60% lower, but the patients, those 60% that are coming in, those are the ones that get it. And those are the ones that really understand the philosophy of chiropractic. And we always talk about in our offices, when I talk to my chiropractors, I say, if I were to survey all of your patients, and I said, why do you come there? Would they say it's because of pain or back pain, neck pain, headaches? Or do they come there for chiropractic philosophy above, down, inside out? And if I were to interview most chiropractors that think their practice is philosophically sound, I would bet you that most of the members that go to their practice are actually there for pain management. And so we just have to be honest with ourselves and really understand that. Now, here's what's going to be cool though. This is what everyone's going to start seeing happen. The patients that are coming to you now, or the new patients you're getting right now, they're going to be with you forever. Why? Because a lot of chiropractors right now are in fear and they're actually doing things they should be doing. They're educating properly because they're scared that their practice is going to go down. So now they're doing a really good job of educating. So the decisions they're making are things they should have been doing the whole time in practice, but now they're doing it because of fear and they're letting that drive them. So it's going to be interesting to see these patients that are coming in right now are going to be your best patients forever. And the way we always talk about to our group is I say to my chiropractor, I say, hey, I want you to act in your practice as if a chiropractor was about to open up next door. How would you treat your patients? How would you treat your staff? How would your office look inside and out? Would you do anything different if a chiropractor opened up next door to you? Because if you would, that's not fair to your patients and that's not fair to you. So you always need to act like there's somebody about to open up next door to you. Because there's always going to be that young buck chiropractor that's about to graduate That's going to have better systems, better digital marketing, better Canva stuff, TikToks. I don't even know that crap, but they're going to be out there. So we've got to be diligent right now in our time.
You know, and I couldn't agree more with you. I think that chiropractic as a whole is an ecosystem, and a lot of chiropractors practice out of idea of taking care of their community, but a lot of them practice out of the idea of making ends meet. And we have to talk about the business aspect of that as how to serve your community and render services and to build a practice, and not just a new patient practice, but a longevity practice. And I think that that's critical when it comes to the chiropractic space, and those that do the drip education and hold the workshops and have them, you know, the old school style. You got to bring a family member or significant other, and then you like do the lecture, and you give people the talk about how the body was designed and why chiropractic works. And you do the old Reggie Gold Lay lecture, and you teach people about chiropractic. Those are the practices that thrive, and they make it whether they bill out insurance or not, because the people that are there because they need to be there, because they know they should be there. And it's not about, I have to get through this or over this. It's because they are there for the lifestyle.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, so one of our KPIs, which is one of our stats that we track, right? For those of you that don't know KPIs, it's a stat we track in all of our offices. And we have what are our like corrective plans, and then we have our maintenance plans, right? So we do track new patients, but that's not important to us. I know a lot of these groups out there are like high new patients, low revenue, low retention. Our model is the exact opposite of them. We're high volume, low new patients, high retention, but high revenue. And that's kind of our or high dollar visit average, I should say. And the reason why is like, I don't want to just be getting like 60, 70 new patients a month. Because if I am, my practice should be at 2,000 a week, right? It's like 25% of that, right? We're like around like 4 something. And to me, that doesn't matter, right? What matters though to me is we call it our maintenance plan numbers. So we track, I know exactly how many people are on recurring revenue for their maintenance plans. And that number is one of our most important numbers. And the reason why is because if that number is going up, people are staying on care after they finish their corrective plan. They understand what we do. If that number is going down, I'm losing people somewhere and my retention sucks, and I'm not doing a good job of educating my clients on the value of chiropractic. So yeah, I could track new patients, I could track weekly volume, but like I talk to our group all the time, like restaurants don't care how many people they sat. How much did they make? That's what they want. They want when they settle that tab at the end of the day, what was that number? Now I'm sure they want to know how many tables they turned and all of that, which is obviously an important number. But for us in chiropractic, for some reason, weekly volume is like this ego, like bump your chest number. And I mean, you know, we would be considered a high volume practice. All of our practices would actually, but it's not important, right? Like that. And you and I were talking about this beforehand. Like, I think one of the best things somebody could do would be to define success for themselves. Like, what does that mean? Like, how much are you making? What's your practice volume? How many new patients? What's your retention? What's your missed appointment percentage? Having these really good stats to track and understand. Right now, it may not be about new patients. Right now, it may be how many people are you putting in your private group? How much content are you pumping out to your private group right now? How many leads are you generating for when this whole thing is over with? You know, how many calls are you making to your strategic partners right now? Right? Those would be some like really good KPIs to kind of transition over to, instead of focusing on this weekly volume number, which is such an arbitrary, irrelevant, gosh, you hear this all the time, man. You know what I'm talking about. That number is, we got to stop bumping our chest about that number right there.
Well, something that I think we're going to have to reframe is high volume into mindful volume. And
I love that.
We're going to have to look at how we can have a mindful volume practice and really be strategic about the quality that we provide rather than the mill that we run.
Yes, so true. And you know, it's like, this is why I always talk about, you got to define success, because when you're in school, you think you want to see like 1,000 a week, right? I don't want to see, for instance, our office, we don't want to see more than 450. That's our number, right? My practice, my main location, I don't want to see more than that. Why? I've got a family. I've got shoulders that I like to work out on. I like my low back. I don't want to blow out any discs. You know, I'm not overstressed right now. So, and I'm giving high quality care, mindful care, kind of like what you just said, right? So it's so important to just get that and understand and be okay with that. And the key is, here's where we fault as chiropractors. We compare ourselves to other chiropractors all the time. We look at the social media highlight reels and see what they're doing, or we talk to them or at a seminar, and we think that's who we need to be. Couldn't be more farther from the truth, by the way. We need to understand who we are, what is success to us, and then go from there. And I think that once you understand that and you really define that for yourself, that's really where true happiness is, because then you're not comparing yourself to other people. So that to me is just an important thing as well. And we were sharing this earlier, and I'll just share about personal experiences. A lot of people come up to me and want multiple locations. They say to me, hey, Austin, I want to have multiple practices as well. And the first question is, well, I ask why. Because for them, sometimes they think it's about passive income. That's not why I have multiple locations, because there's no such thing as passive income anyways. And I know you study, I've looked at your stuff. I know you follow Grant Cardone. I know you look at some of those guys as well. You study them. And so they'll tell you the same thing, right? There's still an act, right? Like Grant Cardone, yeah, he's getting people to subscribe to his model, but think about how much time he's on social media as well and on the phones and grinding, right? Like he's putting in the work. And it's the same thing with me. Like I don't do what I do to have multiple locations for passive income. I love taking chiropractors and making them and helping them find out what's important to them and letting them be successful on their own. I love that. Most of our chiropractors are newer grads. When they graduate and they get into practice and they find that success and they hit it, they love being part of a team and they love the success. And to me, that is what fulfills me. I don't make a ton of my other practices. My main location is where, kind of what sources everything as well. But I've defined it for myself, and I think that would be just a great exercise for everybody to do for themselves as well and understand what that means to them.
So tell us, what are some of your favorite motivational quotes and mantras that you live by to keep yourself fired up day after day? Yeah,
so let's talk about current times right now, and then I'll kind of answer your question. So for right now, we actually have this thing we're calling Operation Renegade. That's what our model is for this whole like Corona thing, right? Operation Renegade. We have meetings every 3 days on Zoom. We have in-office meetings on Fridays. I mean, we are in constant communication, okay? Like we have a Slack channel for our entire staff, and we are in constant communication. Now, our quote right now is 2 quotes. One, never waste a good crisis. Never waste a good crisis. So many chiropractors right now are in fear, starvation mode, and they're scared out of their minds, which by the way, I get it. Like if I was a year in practice, I would be the exact same way. I'm not gonna, I would have 100% be scared. I've been fortunate and blessed to now have 11 years in, to have some understanding, have a huge patient base. So it does make it a little bit easier, okay? So I'm not like, it's not like they shouldn't be in that mindset. But a crisis is a time for opportunity as well. And what I don't want is these chiropractors to get out of this, and all they did is shut down their doors early, and they didn't create opportunity for themselves to prepare for this again down the road. So just a quick example is for us, we're now doing, we're creating a whole nutritional program right now for our clients as well. So if this does happen again, and when it does happen again, by the way, and I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer or negative over here, like if you just look at timelines of recessions, it will happen at some point in time for most people, okay? And a virus will happen again, just like there's always viruses. So we're working on doing, we work with standard process a lot. We sell a lot of standard process supplements in our office. I mean, we're pure chiropractors, but we also, a lot of our patients get some of the supplements. So we're working on being able to do consults with our patients virtually, and then patient direct them the supplements through standard process. We've got some other models we're working on right now from a virtual standpoint, things we can do. We created, I'll give you guys another example. One thing we're doing right now is we have these things called community care kits. It's a foam roller, lacrosse ball, band, t-shirt, and a dental roll. And we can ship it to our patients directly for $125. We're also doing these things called immunity packs right now. We're selling to our patients. They're $100, antiviral, boom, send it out to them. So like I said, never waste a good crisis. And those are things we're gonna keep doing forever, right? Now we're putting a shop on our website. So we're gonna have a shop on our website. So each chiropractor now can create revenue for their practices on this shop. So just never waste a good crisis. Okay, that one, hopefully that's like my number one for right now in this current time. The other one is, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. This is why they call it the present. You have to focus on today only. And any chiropractor right now that's thinking about tomorrow, the next 2 weeks, the next 30 days, the next 6 months, you're done. You cannot put your mind there. The media doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, okay? You read one article, it tells you it's over by Easter. You read one, it tells you it's over by June. You read one, it tells you in 18 months. Do this, do that. No, nobody knows right now. And the people that are out there right now calling this thing BS, a hoax, Bill Gates thing, whatever they're calling it right now, right? Like, it's not about what they believe. The fact is we have to be empathetic to our patients because this is real. Patients are scared right now and they need leadership and they need somebody to lead them, provide hope and support. And we are those people. And that's why we have to focus on today, on the present, on the gift. And then from there, if we can do that, we can fulfill our purpose and our mission and then just move on to the next day. So today, we focused on what was important to us today. And tomorrow, we're going to get in there. We're going to go back to Operation Renegade tomorrow. And we'll focus on tomorrow. And what do we need to do to get closer to those goals of what we're trying to achieve without looking in the future? Because if no one knows when they're getting shut down. No one knows if Trump's going to come out tomorrow and shut us all down for 30 days. We don't know anything. So we just got to focus on the now and focus on today. Okay, so those are my two for crisis mode right now. All right. Now, for the real world, I have one. It's how you do anything in life is how you do everything in life. Are you somebody that says you're going to run 10 miles and you get to 9 and you quit? Because if you are, then where else in your life are you stopping a mile early, right? Are you somebody that waits until your gas is empty and your laundry is on its last pair of underwear? Because if you are, then where else in your life are you waiting till the end to start being proactive, right? So that quote drives me. And I did it, I've done a few Ironman before competitions, and I did one in 2015. And like that quote would just guide me. Because I remember the day would be like, do a 2-mile swim today. And I was like, oh man. So I would get to be like, there would be like literally 400 meters left. In my brain, I was like, oh, like, do I really need to do this? I feel like I'm just done. I wanted to get out of the pool. I had so much going on. I got kids. And then I was like, Austin, how you do anything in life is how you do everything in life. And because you made that comment of questioning yourself, you're now doing an extra 50, right? So now I use it almost to like go above and beyond because in my brain, I was like, all right, if I'm going above and beyond here, where else am I going above and beyond? So you can use it in multiple ways as well to help you out. But that's my quote that I live and die by that quote right there. But like I said, for right now in today's world, we're doing those 2 quotes, and then current life, we do that other quote.
So mindset is so huge right now too, because I know, like you said, people are afraid. I am one of those people that I like solutions. I think that so many people, they look to what the media says. They look to what what's current trending with the other pool of people that are similar to them. How are people reaction? Because really this is a huge reactionary stage. Like you said early on, like this is something that's going to happen more consistently. And it's a trend that we're just in the pit of it right now. So anybody out there that's like really like struggling, and you mentioned like percentages of clinics dropping, what can people do to like really like make sure that they keep their doors open? And since this is you wanted to talk more business, what can people do to like be proactive right now as they're still in practice?
Yeah, so there's 2 different types of groups right now, right? There's the groups of people that probably started within the last 12 months who opened their clinic, or the ones who have been maybe, you know, kind of going like a paycheck to paycheck essentially through, and they don't really have a whole lot of savings. And then there's the other group who are like the, you know, ones who have done pretty well over the last like 5 to 10 years, or, you know, even longer in that 20, 30 years, whatever it is. And they can get through this, right? Like financially. So for them, they're focusing more on strategy for when this is over, like people like us. And we're solution oriented, just like you said. But for people who are in that, let's say that 12 month, we just opened their practice within 12 months. Right now, man, what's key is hope. First off, you can't spend any money, right? Like you got to spend no money. Don't spend it zero. Look into the loans, right? Those are things that, like, from a financial perspective, they do need to secure themselves. I would 100% say they need to do. Then from there, one thing we do is we have each quarter, we develop 9 strategic partners that we want to work with. And we put down when are we going to follow up with them and what's the objective for each one. We've called each one of them so far. We called them all earlier this week, and we just said, hey, Luke, I want to check in with you. I want to see how you're doing. You're dealing with this. And Luke's like, man, this is tough for my business. And hey, Luke, listen, I can understand what you're going through. Listen, we're scared also. How can we support you and how can we work together? The people that isolate right now are done. You cannot isolate yourself from other businesses or I should be careful when I say that. Don't isolate yourself from other businesses. Find chiropractors though who you look up to and ask for help. I would bet right now, every chiropractor in the country, no matter who they are, how big of a name they are, any business person that's out there right now, dude, people want to help people right now. And the word that we use right now in our Operation Renegade is, and I told all my chiropractors this last week, the word that we need to live by right now is vulnerability. You've got to be vulnerable right now. No one needs to be pouting their chest. If a patient says to you, hey, how you guys doing? Oh, we're doing amazing. We're fucking crushing this. This is such bull. This isn't even a real this thing. Like, just get adjusted. It's going to boost your immune system. Like, this is all you need to be doing right now. Don't listen to the news. All right. Like, that is the dumbest thing anybody could ever do right now, obviously. People need to be vulnerable, man. They need to be honest. Like, my patients come up to me all the time, like, hey, how you doing? I know you all are small business. We're like, hey, listen, honestly, it's tough. This is not easy, but we have core values that we live by in our practice, which I'll talk about those later. But we have core values we live by in our practice, and we're going to get through this. But our biggest job right now is, one, we want to keep our staff. That's number one. I love our staff and I want to keep them. And the other thing is I want to help support the community in any way I can. The community has been really good to me the last 11 years, and I want to support them the best of my ability. And all of our patients are like, what? That's like, dude, that's awesome. They're like, and so we run our payments on the 1st and the 15th of every month. Okay. So we have one coming up next week. I would bet about 50% of our patients out of like hundreds, okay, because we send email out to all of our patients, said, keep my payments running and I'll make up those visits down either in April or May when this is all over with. And so it's just because we were vulnerable. We didn't have an ego. We weren't BSing our patients. We were being empathetic towards them. And really, like, that's what it comes down to right now. You got to be vulnerable. And so if you're a young doc and you're struggling, dude, call, ask for help. Tell people you need help. Work with small businesses right now. Call the banks. Do whatever you got to do. The people that graduated in the last 6 years have been very lucky, okay? They were in a time where they could go out to an event or screening and just sign up tons of people. If this keeps going on, that's going to change. When I graduated in 2009, I mean, I was doing screenings, and I know you do screenings as well. I mean, I was doing screenings for like 40, 50 hours in a weekend. And I mean, maybe signing up like 6 to 8 people. Because not a lot of people had jobs. The boutique gyms weren't around. Like, now we have Orange Theory Fitnesses, F45s, Core Powers, CrossFit. We have these like boutique style gyms. I didn't have that when I graduated. It was like the mega gyms where people were paying $20, $30 a month because no one could afford a boutique gym. So I had to get through that. And by the way, that could be what it's going to be like for the next, 6 to 12 months. We don't know. So that's why we have to be smart. We've got to be vulnerable. We got to check our ego. We got to ask for help. And then those that have been out for a while, dude, they should be strategizing right now. They should be thinking of opportunity. And that quote I said of never wasting a good crisis should be running through their brain every single day when they wake up to figure out what do they need to be doing right now in this moment in time. But like, number one thing for a young one, ask for help.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Posture Screen, Imaging Services, Mahalo Wellness, 5-Star Management, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiro Moguls, Local Gold, Chiro Thin, McCaffrey's Clinical Mentoring, Free My Pain Now with Dr. Matt DeDuro, and Chiropractic Rocks. Let's hustle.
So, how do you think the world would be different if everyone started seeing a chiropractor instead of the 8, 12, 15% we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, and we don't know like the true numbers, right? As far as like how it is, and it's probably close to what you're saying. What I'd be interested to know the number on would be not how many people see a chiropractor, but how many people go to a chiropractor at least like 24 times a year, or something like along those lines, right? Like going to a chiropractor once a year to me isn't like a true stat. That's not even like a real thing. So how would the world be different though? Listen, we all know the answer. It would be a better place. Why? The lifestyle that people would be living would be better. My patients is very interesting. Every year during flu season, if I were to poll my 500 patients, and I were to poll 500 of the general population, I would put my entire life savings on my population of patients get sick much less than this population of 500. My friends that are chiropractors who have kids. I've got 2 kids. My kids have never taken Tylenol, Advil, aspirin, and antibiotic, not because I'm against that at all. Like, if they have a bacterial infection, I'll 100% give an antibiotic. The thing is, we know how to ask good questions, and we know the things that are necessary to be as preventable as possible. Not saying they're never going to get a bacterial infection or strep or anything along those lines. They may, I don't know, but we're doing the best job that we can. And so, first off, not only from a health perspective, obviously be better. Mindset though, right? Because going to a chiropractor is a commitment. And I used that quote earlier, how you do anything in life is how you do everything. Patients who commit to chiropractic tend to make other commitments in their life, whether it's to their fitness, nutrition, mindset, whatever it is. They start seeing other commitments show up in their life, right? Like some of my patients who are in and out of relationships and who are in and out of jobs, those are my patients that are in and out of care. So there's a huge correlation. My patients who have been in like long-term relationships, who have been at a gym for 5 or 6 years that come to me, they stay with me forever. It's their mindset as far as like who they are as a person. And if we could get that and get that concept, for instance, I remember hearing a long time ago that if you have a Ford Pinto, which by the way is a crappy car for those that don't know, and a Ferrari, you're going to take much better care of the Ferrari than you are the Ford Pinto, right? Now, it's the same thing with your body. So patients' bodies who just feel better, they tend to do better things for, and they tend to think differently. Now, it would also depend on the chiropractor they were going to. But I'm assuming that they're coming to a chiropractor like myself or some of these other people that are out there that focus really on above, down, inside out, the power that made the body heals the body, and are pure chiropractors, not symptom-based chiropractors, or very objectively based, and they actually focus on proactive care and regular maintenance. And they tell their patients what the patient needs to hear, not what they think the patient wants to hear. And they also tell the patient what they would do for themselves, not just like what they think the patient should do based on their financial situation or their time situation. I can't stress enough how many times I hear a chiropractor, when a patient comes to me and I'll be like, oh, it looks like you're going to chiropractor. How often were you going? They're like, oh, I go once every 3 months. I'm like, oh, why did you decide to do that? They say, oh, the chiropractor told me. And I know the chiropractor who told them that. And that chiropractor gets adjusted at least once a week. And that really bothers me. So if there was anything I could ever share right now that would hopefully hit home with some of you guys, if you're making recommendations based on what you think they need to hear, based on what you think they can afford, what you think they want, you got to tell them what they need. I tell my patients what they need based on what I do, my family does. My family gets adjusted once a week to once every other week. And I'm not recommending anything less than that. And if I am, I'm giving precautions on that as well. But I'm not making the recommendation. Only if the patient asks for it, then I'll make the precautions of it. So just something for chiropractors to think about as they go through this, especially the younger ones, because younger ones tend to judge people based on what they think patients can afford or what they want.
I think one of the things that you touched on there is tell them what they want and tell them what they need. And I think that that's very strategic. I also heard you throw a little bit of the feel, felt, found in there. Like, I understand how you feel. I'd probably do it this way. But what I found is if you do it our way, you have a lot better longevity and health long term. And I also heard you talk a little bit about getting people to be lifelong patients and getting people to commit to care for those 24 visits a year. That's getting people to commit to better quality of lifestyle. Yeah, and I know chiropractors, sometimes chiropractors want to shine on, you have to do it this way, but we don't do it this way. But I think that the chiropractic lifestyle is something that every chiropractor could stand behind, and they would want their patient base to stand behind with them. And you're right, the person that is in and out of jobs and in and out of relationships, they aren't consistent with much in their life. So when it comes to taking care of their body and when it comes to taking care of their family's bodies, the person that's more consistent with care is going to be the one that's more consistent with being a pillar in their family and in their community.
So true, man. And I always talk to my patients about that as well. Like, the reason why I'm very committed to my health, it's not for me or for anything like of ego, right? It's, I have kids and a wife. I want to play with my kids when they get older. I want to shoot basketballs. I want to play football. I want to throw the baseball. I want to be able to hit balls. I want to go skiing with my kids. We do ski trips every year. Like, there's things I want to do when I'm older with my family. And I don't want to be limited based on some health limitation of something I could avoid and prevented if I took better care of myself. And that's kind of how we talk to our patients as well. If somebody wants a one-off adjustment, we actually don't do that. When somebody comes in, we talk to them about their care plan and what they need. If they say, oh, well, I'll just pay per visit, we'll just say, you know what? Completely respect your decision as far as like what you think. But the office and how we operate, we're objectively based. We're not subjectively based. So we'll let you do that one time. If you'd like to continue to do that, there's a better place down the street. They're only $10 a visit. They're $40 a month. If you want to one-off it, you can pay $29 each visit, and they'll be happy to take care of you like one-offs here and there. And they're like, well, I don't want that. I don't want to pay that little amount of money. I'm like, okay, well, explain to me what you want then. And then usually we get into a conversation, and usually eventually they commit. But I think for us, like, we're really strict, and we have our core values. And I can share those as well if you want. But what's been very fascinating is if there was another exercise, and I know I'm kind of giving a lot of stuff for people to do, but I would think a lot of people have the time right now to do the strategy things we're talking about. But over the past 2 weeks, since this whole mess has been going on, we've actually been doing a lot of going back to our core values. So our core values are patients first, E9, which means an excellence of a 9 or above. If anybody's less than that, they get cut. They know it. We had to make a layoff about a week ago. She was performing at about an E7. And so, she just wasn't making the cut. Right now, actually, during Operation Renegade, everybody's got to be an E10, right? So everybody's working overtime. Everybody's pumping in extra hours. This isn't how it's got to be right now. No one's like going home at 6:30 at night, having dinner with their family and kissing their kids to bed, and that's it, right? And getting a good night's sleep. Times are a little bit different right now, and that's how we've got to approach this. And that's why we called it labeled Operation Renegade. So that's one. We also have one called WOW, where it's creating that WOW experience. So for any of you guys who have been to a fancy restaurant, or if you've been to like the St. Regis Hotel, which is a place we study a lot, you get a WOW experience whenever you go there. And that's what we want to create. We want it to be created where, I'll give you an example in chiropractic. The last thing you want your patient saying to you is, hey doc, when am I going to get some exercises? Or are there any exercises I should be doing? You don't want to hear that, because if they're saying that, that means they were thinking that and you didn't provide that answer for them before they thought about it. And so for us, WOW experience means we need to always be ahead. And so what that means is preparing them from day one. Hey, Jim, just so I give you a heads up, for the first couple weeks, I don't want you doing anything different. No specific exercise. Now, once we get to this mark in your care, I'm going to give you specific exercises that you need to do for your body based on what's going on with yourself. So, and then a couple weeks in, it's, hey, Jim, you have your re-exam coming up. I'm going to give you some exercises you need to be doing if you remember, so it'll support your body through this, and we can get to the spinal strengthening care phase of care. And they're like, awesome. So we used to deal with the whole back in the days. Hey, doc, when am I getting some exercises? Hey, doc, is there anything I should be doing? And that's like a business move, right? Where you're thinking in your head, hey, I need to be prepared for that. I need to now do something about this. So that's the WOW experience. And then the last one is family. Our chiropractors, my team, our patients, dude, we're just one big family, man. Like, no egos, no hierarchy, no one's better than anybody else. We're all the same. We're a team. We work together, and that's it. And we're here to support and love on people, man. So if somebody comes into the mindset that they're going to be better than somebody else, or they want to do something different than everybody else, dude, it's just not a good fit for our business. But people who understand the brand, our model, the family culture of what we created, man, it works really well. And defining core values for your business, I think, is one of the best things somebody could do. Because when we interview, we talk about that. When we do our quarterly reviews with our staff, our CAs and all of our staff, we ask them, what are the core values and how do you rank yourself? A plus, minus, or minus. And if they're anything less than a plus, we ask them why they think they were less than that. So it's a way. Core values are everything for a business. If you study the biggest businesses, they all have core values and they all live and breathe the core values. Every one of my staff, we have 20 staff members. Each one can tell you the core values of our business. And I think it's an important exercise.
So let's talk about you personally a little bit here as we start to get to the end of this interview.
Yeah.
What are some things you like to listen to, like podcasts, or do you do audiobooks? Are you reading any books? And what are some of your hobbies?
Yeah. So outside of the typical, working out, all that, from a mindset perspective, and working out to me is a big thing. I actually like to do challenges, to be honest with you. So when my life gets busy, I like to make it busier. Because kind of like I said, how you do anything is how you do everything. So, we've got all these locations. We're opening up more locations this year. And I decided to sign up for an ultra marathon, 100-mile race in October. So I know, you guys know Josh Hant. He's a good friend of mine also. So he kind of motivated me a little bit to sign up for that. So I'm doing that in October. And I love training for stuff like that. I love the competitiveness of that. I like creating discipline. I like habits. And I also get my mind right. So from a mindfulness perspective, like you said, the other thing is how I built this podcast. I think that how I built podcast, chiropractors is a great tool for them to listen to. Because when you're in school, you don't learn anything about business in school, which by the way, it's not the school's job to teach us about business. I get so frustrated when chiropractors are like, life failed me. They did not fail you, you failed you. And it's because it's impossible for a school to teach somebody about business and how to be successful. They can't prepare you for COVID-19. How the heck are they going to prepare chiropractors for what we're going through right now? They can't prepare them for dealing with staff. They can't prepare them for payroll. They can't prepare them for lines of credits and loans and patients dropping off of care. They're designed to prepare you to be a chiropractor. Now, the good news is while you're in school, you have opportunities to meet other successful chiropractors, go to seminars, listen to podcasts, listen to your podcast, talk to people. I'm sure you guys would talk to any chiropractic student at any moment in time, and you would do that any day. So how I built this, huh?
I did yesterday.
There you go. I mean, there's so many resources out there. You got to leverage the resources. And the ones that are complaining about not being successful because of the school, if the school would have had successful programs, which I know they do, by the way, because speakers come out to school all the time, it wouldn't have mattered, man. People always make excuses for why the world the way it is. Whenever there's a new president, there's half the world thinks it's great, half the world thinks it's a problem, right? I mean, it's the same people that think it's a problem always. So how I built this is a great business podcast, I think, for a lot of people. I just got done reading Jesse Itzler's book, Living with a Seal. Great book. I love Jocko Willing. I love how he talks about extreme ownership. If something fails in my business, it's not because of my chiropractors and it's not because of my CAs, it's because of me. If something goes wrong, it's because of me. If my CA screws up, it's because I did a terrible job of training her. And if she's still there making the same mistakes, I did a crappy job of not firing her. So Extreme Ownership is just an amazing book. When I talk about business systems, there's three, I think, great tools out there. One is called Traction by Gene Wickman. That's who we follow in our business. We have a whole operating system for our business where we talk about level 10s, quarterlies, 555s, rocks, scorecards, all these different terms we use. There's another one called the Rockefeller Habits. There's the E-Myth. There's a lot of different, there's the one-page summary. So there's a lot of different places where people, one-page strategic plan. So there's a lot of places people can go to create operating systems for their business. I think it's a great thing that people should be doing right now as well. So those would probably be like my top ones that I like to follow right there. And I'm also part of this business association. It's called EO, Entrepreneur Organization. If you have one in your community, I definitely recommend it. There's no other chiropractors in it, which is great because the advice I get are from people who are running massive businesses who can give me advice for what they're doing, not from what some like, chiropractor is doing in Podunk, Iowa. Just kidding, Jim. I'm just kidding. But you get real business advice, right? I'm a big advocate of who you surround yourself is who you become. So whoever you guys are surrounding yourselves right now through this moment, this crisis, that's who you're gonna become. So people making excuses, blaming the economy, blaming the president, blaming this, blaming that, well, that's who you're gonna become. If you're hanging out, Jim nailed it earlier, solution-oriented. If you're hanging out with people solution-oriented, guess what you're gonna become? Solution-oriented. So these are great tools, and then also who you're hanging out around with is gonna be key as well.
Great advice, man.
Yeah.
It's been a real honor to have you on our show today and to be able to get some of your wisdom and strategy that you live by. It's not every day we get a chance to interview an Iron Man. No, it's cool, man.
Yeah.
Those are some things we learn stuff about the people we interview that we never knew about. So
I appreciate that, man. Listen, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I know you guys. You're probably I think you're in your 4th hour right now of these. Man, I respect that so much from you guys. Like, I know, Jim, you and I were talking. I know you've been through a lot recently, and I'm sure you guys are exhausted and stressed. And I don't think you guys are doing this for you. I think you guys are doing this to really like be a support system for everybody. And man, I respect that so much because man, we need you guys right now. Like the content you're putting out there, this information, like keep doing it, man. Because like you guys don't know me and we've never met before, but like I told you things I knew about you guys because I've seen your stuff. So you're impacting people even though you don't know you're impacting people. So keep it up.
Well, this is year 3 of Chiro Hustle.
Wow.
And, in 2018, I went and did 365 interviews and all in chiropractic content. And I know that what we're doing is definitely supporting the beautiful profession of chiropractic. And it's voices like yours that people are going to learn from. It's voices like ours that people are going to learn from. But it's cross-pollination of content, and it's like-mindedness of support, and it's co-branding opportunities. It's social equity. It's all these things that are going to elevate the perception of chiropractic the right way. And it's not us beating our own drum and saying, hey, we know everything about chiropractic. We can defer that moment and allow the expert to speak about what makes them unique in the marketplace and how they can actually share their story, because the story is the strongest part of anybody's reality. And a lot of times we don't get a chance to share that story, and people don't ask us to talk about ourselves. And most of the time when we have an interaction with somebody, people just have like this perceived idea of who you are based on what other people share. So it's really cool to be able to let people have a platform to talk about what they're interested about and to share their passions. And Luke and I don't dominate it. We just hold space for people.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I mean, facts tell, stories sell, man. I mean, you nailed it. So it's really going to be key right now, I think, too, as well. Like, as we're building relationships with our community, man, share stories, show them pre and post, tell them what you're passionate about, be vulnerable. Like I said, I mean, man, whatever y'all need right now, man, what we're going through right now, like, I just want to help people, man, right now. I feel so bad. I've just been so fortunate these last 11 years. I mean, to just be in the situation that I'm in right now. And gosh, like, I couldn't imagine right now being a new chiropractor. And I guess I don't know what I need to do to help. And hopefully this was something I could have done. And whatever I can do, man, if you guys need anything, if we need to do a Q&A with students or Q&A with new chiropractors, man, I'll do anything. So whatever you guys need, let me know. All right. I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Well, really quickly, if someone wanted to go to your website and order one of these viral relief packages, what website would they go to order that?
So our websites, we're not selling anything. Our patients, we do have like stuff like community care kits and our immunity packs. And so on there, it's just our website, correctivechiropractic.com. Very simple, sweet, to the point. This is what we do. And you can, hopefully, if you're a newer chiropractor, you can kind of see our website, see a little about who we are, what we do. Maybe take whatever you want. I just want chiropractors to be successful and thrive right now, man. This is our time. This is when we need to become leaders in our community. This is our opportunity. We were built for this, man. Like, this is it. Just gotta be strategic and smart about it and be vulnerable for the 100th time now.
Well, we really appreciate you taking some time away from your daily grind and sharing your message with our audience today. And from both Luke and I, we just want you to have an amazing rest of your night. And we'll be working with you, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Cool. Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you.
All
Have
right.
a good night.
You too.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.